Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today. I'm excited to share with you about a strategy that can elevate the value you bring to your clients, irrevocable trust. When most people hear irrevocable trust, they immediately think of estate planning. But here's what I want you to take away today. These trusts are not just for the ultra wealthy. They are providing a suite of benefits, tax efficient planning, asset protection, spousal access, and generational legacy strategies that apply to a wide range of clients, even those whose estates are well below the federal exemption. So, in the next few minutes, I'm going to be covering revocable versus irrevocable trust basics, trust taxation pitfalls, advanced planning tools, so it's called SLATs, how to use life insurance inside trust, a case study to make it real, and key conversation starters. So let's dive in. So we'll start with the foundational question. What's the difference between revocable and irrevocable trust? So for example, a quick comparison is one is control. A revocable trust, you have full control. Irrevocable trust, you've relinquished it. You're able to modify your revocable trust and not so it's more rare for an irrevocable trust. Both the trusts will avoid probate. The difference on estate inclusion, so the asset being included in the estate in a revocable trust is yes, and in an irrevocable trust, most of the time is no. Creditor protection in a revocable trust is minimal, but it's very strong in an irrevocable trust. So taxation after death becomes taxable trust, where your assets included in the estate in a living trust become taxable. In an irrevocable trust, they're already a separate entity and should not be included in the estate or subject to estate taxes. Revocable trusts are excellent for avoiding probate and maintaining control during life, but they don't protect against estate inclusion. They don't provide strong creditor protection and convert into taxable entities after death. So, by contrast, irrevocable trusts relinquish control, but in exchange, they are powerful protections against and potential tax advantages, including removing assets from the taxable estate. So, let's talk briefly about how trusts are taxed. Because this is where many advisors and clients get caught off guard. When a revocable trust becomes irrevocable at death, it's suddenly subject to the trust income tax brackets, which are incredibly compressed. For example, in 25 rather, a trust hits the top 37% tax bracket at just $14,450 of income. That's quite a contrast to individual brackets, which allow over $500,000 of income before reaching that rate. So here's the kicker. If a trust earns income and doesn't distribute it, that income is taxed at the trust level at those very steep rates. So, what's the strategy? Avoid generating taxable income in the first place. Fund the trust with tax deferred or tax free investments, like life insurance, deferred annuities, or growth assets that don't throw off dividends. So now let's produce a I'd like to introduce you a powerful planning tool. It's also called the Spousal Lifetime Access Trust, or SLAT, that I alluded to earlier. So here's how it works. The grantor gifts assets into an irrevocable trust. The spouse is the beneficiary. This allows indirect access to the assets through the spouse, while removing the asset from the estate. So with the SLAT, you create estate tax exclusion, creditor protection, spousal access to income or principal, and flexibility around retirement and long-term planning. It's one of the only structures that allows you to give something away while still keeping a degree of access. So now I want to talk about something most people don't talk about. This is a quick word of caution. If both spouses create a SLAT for each other, there's a risk that the IRS applies what's called is the reciprocal trust doctrine. This says you didn't really give anything away, you just swapped benefits. So to avoid this, you always want to use different trustees, include different beneficiaries, vary the terms and powers of the distribution, use different asset types and amounts, and create them at least 6 months apart. Following these steps ensures that trusts are not viewed as mirrored images of another, and you preserve the tax and asset protection. So then I want to talk about what if we use life insurance inside the irrevocable trust, specifically max funded index type of life insurance policies. So here's the value proposition. The trust owns the policy and is the beneficiary. The death benefit is not included in the estate. Income can be accessed tax-free through policy loans, and the trustee controls the use and distribution. For clients looking for tax-free retirement income, long-term care protection, and a legacy for heirs or charities, this could be a game changer. You can also add long-term care riders or consider second-to-die policies for blended families or estate plan purposes. So here's a few underwriting notes. So the trust needs to exist before applying for the life insurance. The trustee signs the application. Then many times, if we're doing the annual gifting, we need to have a gift letter or crummy notice that may be required. And once the policy is issued directly to the trust. So one final point is the 3-year rule. If an existing policy is transferred into a trust and the insured dies within 3 years, the death benefit is pulled back into the estate. Best approach is to start a new policies inside the trust. So let me give you a real world example. We worked with a 60-year-old business owner who wanted to retire and he wanted retirement income and wanted to make sure and protect his legacy. So he created a SLAT, funded it with $75,000 a year into an IUL. His spouse was a beneficiary, and the trustee had the ability to distribute income. The policy included lifetime access provisions, long-term care benefits, and eventually split the death benefit between the children and a favorite charity. This strategy created tax-free supplemental retirement income, spousal access during life, estate tax exclusion, and a meaningful protected legacy. So here are a few takeaways. Revocable trusts are great for avoiding probate, but offer little tax efficiency or protection. Irrevocable trusts offer tax-free growth, estate exclusion, and creditor protection. SLATs allow clients to gift assets while still benefiting from them indirectly. And also, max funding life insurance and trust provides one of the few legal ways to create tax-free income and legacy. And the structure of the trust, along with the timing, funding, and compliance matters tremendously, sorry. As you leave this call, here are a few action steps to consider. Think about your clients who are worried about taxes, long-term income, or protecting their spouse. Offer to review the current trust structures or insurance holdings. Request sample documents, illustrations, or flowcharts from us. We can help you with that. And schedule follow-up calls to walk through these ideas in simple visual ways. So it is a great way to be able to start your conversations with your prospects or clients. Would you like income in retirement that never shows up on your tax return? How do you plan to protect your spouse financially if something happened to you? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? One that's taxed or one that's protected? So with that, I'd like to thank you for being here and being committed to bringing all these powerful strategies to your clients. Have an amazing day.